Hey co-stars, and welcome to part 2 of our very popular 10 most lethal ships in Star Trek series. Now, last time in part 1, some people complained that the USS Prometheus was in the video. They said it was the kind of ship that a 12-year-old boy would design. I mean, it splits into 3 sections. I guess it is kind of the Optimus Prime of Star Trek ships. There were also a few next generation ships that were very powerful that we left out, and a few alternate timeline ships that could have been in there as well. So this is part 2 of the 10 most lethal ships in Star Trek. Let's get going. Number 1, the USS Vengeance. So we start with the USS Vengeance, and this is the only Kelvin timeline ship that's going to be in this video. We did have the Narada from Star Trek 2009 in part 1 of the video though. So the USS Vengeance is operated by Section 31, that's Starfleet's sort of CIA-style intelligence/terrorist organization. The ship had no markings on its hull, and it was said to be twice the size and 3 times as fast as the Enterprise. It could catch up with other ships and knock them out of warp. But sometimes, even with all the technology in the world, you can't make up for someone just being a dimwit. Khan, although supposedly highly intelligent, fell for the old. He then beamed aboard the ship and... Number 2, Tinman. Ah, Tinman. That hedgehog-shaped ship, or is it more of an almond? I don't know, but it is organic. Tinman is a bioship similar to Species 8472 in Voyager or the Yuuzhan Vong in Star Wars. And it was powerful too. By using this spin attack by pressing X circle circle triangle X, it destroys a Romulan warbird with ease. Like other bioships, the inside of this vessel looked much like the inside of someone's digestive system and probably smelt just as bad. But if you can get past these caveats, the ship offers terrific functionality featuring adjustable seating arrangements, beautiful fall colors, and windows that open. And in addition to destroying other ships, you can press X square triangle X to fling other ships distances of up to 3.8 billion kilometers, which is like 500 miles or something. Anyway, a very powerful ship indeed. Number 3, Husnock warship. Now this is a powerful ship. It attacks the Enterprise D and takes out its shields with the first volley. When the Enterprise returns fire, the ship doesn't really sustain any damage at all. Now there is one thing we need to point out though. Although the Husnock had existed earlier as a species, they had been wiped out by a godlike being who was kind of annoyed that they'd attacked his colony and killed his mortal wife. So he went and killed all 50 billion of them. When the Enterprise goes to investigate the destroyed colony, this godlike being conjures a Husnock warship in order to scare them off. Now this ship gets more and more powerful every time the Enterprise encounters it, so it's hard to know whether the Husnock were really that powerful or the ship's just being made more powerful by the godlike being who conjured it. Anyway, a very powerful ship from the next generation indeed. Number 4, Enterprise D from All Good Things. This is a future refit version of the Enterprise that exists in an alternate timeline because, as you know, the Enterprise D gets destroyed in Star Trek Generations, so in order for this ship to exist, you'd have to be in an alternate timeline. And in a way, this is another example of a kind of ship that a 12-year-old boy would design. It just looks like they've stuck a load of additional stuff onto an Enterprise D model, kind of like a VW Golf with an insane body kit. It's still just a VW Golf. And this version of the ship follows that primal instinct kind of idea that more of something is better. The ship has 3 warp nacelles. Does warp even work like that? That you just add another nacelle and power increases? I thought there were 2 nacelles because it was like a polarity thing, like magnets. Anyway guys, you gotta just simplify your thinking with this ship. What's better than 2? 3. I'm not going to play the next shot of that clip, but I'm sure some of you know where that comes from. Anyway, in keeping with the primal instinct theme, they added a massive phaser cannon to the underside of the saucer section. After decloaking, and yes, it has a cloaking device, the Enterprise uses this cannon to take out a Klingon warship in about 7 seconds. They've also added countless extra other phaser cannons and phaser banks all over the body of the ship. And so in terms of an Enterprise or a Starfleet ship built for battle, this thing really packs a punch. Or it could just be like the case of old guys who buy expensive sports cars. It was just Riker's way of dealing with a midlife crisis. Number 5, USS Defiant. The Defiant project was started after Starfleet's defeat at the Battle of Wolf 359 at the hands of the Borg. Officially, it was classed as an escort vessel, but that's just a nice way of saying it's a warship. The ship was overpowered for its size and almost shook itself apart during testing. Starfleet initially abandoned the project and placed the ship in storage, but good old Benjamin Sisko requested the Defiant be brought out of storage and assigned to Deep Space Nine. It would serve in the Dominion War and later in the Battle of Sector 001 against the Borg, its original purpose. I've got another video, guys, on the channel detailing all about the Defiant, going through the weapons that you guys can check out if you want. Number 6. Voyager from Endgame. Now this is a version of Voyager from the last episode of the show, in which a future, now Admiral Janeway, goes back in time and gives some advanced technology to her previous self and the crew in order to speed up their journey home. Isn't that breaking the temporal prime directive though? Wouldn't the 29th century Federation time police show up and shut the whole thing down? I guess that's a plot hole. Anyway, one cool thing about this version of Voyager is the armor, which kind of reminds me of the armor on the Batmobile from the first Michael Keaton Batman movie. Basically, the armor covers up every surface of the ship and it's pretty impervious to weapons. Each shot from the Borg only degrades it by 1%.
Armor integrity at 97%.
In addition to the armor, Janeway provides another weapon to Voyager, and that would be transphasic torpedoes. These were the Federation's trump card against the Borg. Basically, these were torpedoes with modulating phase frequencies that the Borg were yet to adapt to. In the show, we see one transphasic torpedo destroy an entire Borg cube. Number 7. The Enterprise E refit. Well, I'm sure everyone knows this ship, and we have got other videos on it, but what you might not know is just how armed to the teeth the Enterprise E was by the time we get to Star Trek Nemesis and beyond. The refitted Enterprise E now has 11 torpedo launchers and Type 12 phaser banks. And in addition to all those weapons, later on in Star Trek novels, the Enterprise E would also carry transphasic torpedoes and carry out hit-and-run stealth missions against Borg cubes. Number 8. The USS Discovery. The USS Discovery, an ugly ship from an awful show. I tried as hard as I could to keep it out of this episode, I really did, guys. But there is one thing about the Discovery that does make it a force to be reckoned with, and that would be its spore drive. It can, in theory, appear at any point within the universe within a few seconds. And they have a name for that.
Black alert.
So now we have red, yellow, black. Here on this ship, we're on purple alert. Anyway, one of the most impressive things that the Discovery did in the season 1 of the show was using its spore drive to run rings around the Klingon sarcophagus ship and destroy it. It almost made me like Discovery, but then the overly dramatic slow motion walking featuring characters that I don't like started, and I was brought back down to earth. Number 9. The ISS Charon. Now this is another one from Star Trek Discovery, and although I didn't like the show in general, some of the stuff from the Mirror Universe in the first season was pretty cool. Meet the ISS Charon. No, not Sharon, Charon. It was the flagship of the Terran Empire, and this ship was the size of a city. And in the show, we see the destructive power of this vessel when it launches an orbital bombardment against the planet Harlak, seemingly destroying half of the planet. And this ship wasn't just lethal to others, it was lethal to those on board the ship as well. The corridors had force fields and phaser cannons that came out of the walls and could shoot you. And then there were agony booths. This is the brig of the ship, but it makes the brig on the USS Enterprise look like a 5-star hotel. You would be put in one of these agony booths where you would experience agonizing pain 24/7 until you were released. I think there must have been a schedule of agony. I mean, if you were really experiencing that 24/7, you probably wouldn't be able to sleep, and the human body would die in a few days without sleep. So, maybe they turn the agony off at night and it probably comes back on again at 6 a.m. That's one hell of an alarm clock. The Charon also had an open-air mycelial reactor right in the middle of the ship. Now, this was its weak point because if you had someone on board to switch off the containment field, this reactor became a really easy target and you could destroy the ship. Number 10. The USS Junghur. Now this is a ship we see at the end of Star Trek Picard. It's an Inquiry-class starship named after this guy, Admiral Junghur, a legendary Chinese explorer who some think even discovered the Americas before Europeans but never settled the continent. Riker seems a bit confused about the name of his ship, which is called Junghur.
Acting Captain Will Riker in command of the USS Zhenghe.
It's Junghur, Will.
The USS Zhenghe.
Ah, whatever. The reason this ship is in this video is because Riker says this.
Right now, I'm on the bridge of the toughest, fastest, most powerful ship Starfleet has ever put into service.
So yeah, apparently it's more lethal than the Enterprise E, the Defiant class, but the problem is we don't see it actually do anything. That would be too much to ask, right? To see a post-Nemesis Starfleet ship actually kick some ass on screen? Yeah, that would have been too much of an ask. Instead, we see the ship in a CGI model on screen in the background. If you pause the video, you can see the CGI models aren't even very detailed, so they couldn't even show them in close-ups if they wanted to. And this is what Alex Kurtzman and friends don't get about Star Trek. The ship is the star of the show. Just look at how the producers of Star Trek Generations introduced the Enterprise B. And that's not even the main ship in the movie. Star Trek fans are really geeky. You know, if I hear about a new state-of-the-art Starfleet ship, most powerful ever, I want to see deck plans, a technical manual, a full set of blueprints, and what is more, I actually want to see it kick some butt on screen. Anyway guys, that's our video for today. Sorry to end it with a rant, but you know, it had to be said. If you guys are interested in writing scripts for Star Trek content on this channel, we are actually currently going to be holding a script writing competition to recruit writers to actually work for us. So if you're interested, send an email to generationsmediawork@gmail.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself, just a few sentences, and we will send you the instructions for the script writing contest. How it's going to work is we're basically going to have people submit script ideas, and then if we like them, we'll give them the go-ahead to write the script. And if we use your script, we'll give you a $100 Amazon gift card. Then if the fans of our show like that episode and it gets good views and stuff, we may well keep you on as a writer and actually pay you in the normal way with actual money. So if you guys are interested on that, the email is on the bottom of the screen now. Just let you know though, the standard is pretty high. So, you know, only do it if you are really serious that, you know, you could actually write to that standard. Watch our videos, you know, our episodes, and make sure you feel as if you can write in our voice, throwing in jokes and trivia about the shows in the kind of way that we would, okay? But if you think you could do that, be my guest, please join, send an email, and I wish you good luck. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.